All right, good afternoon, Cumberland County. We will call to order the November 5th, 2025, 1:30 p.m. Finance meeting. Lauren, please have a roll call.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Nieder?
I'm here.
Commissioner Fashi,
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
So I do not see any public comment in the room. Lauren, do we have anyone online, please?
We do not.
Okay, thank you. So we're looking for a motion to approve the minutes of October 22nd, 2025.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. So we have Rich Farr from the Susquehanna Regional Transportation Authority here to do his update.
Should I move to the hot seat?
Thanks.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here. It's nice to come every now and then, sort of give an update on the kind of things we're working on and the progress we're making. I prepared some basic handouts, and I'm just going to kind of talk to it as we work through that. And so, and they're no particular order, right? So we've been working on a project that we're calling high intensity mobility corridors. And so the concept here is, what are our all routes are, what are those routes that really connect all the other routes together that we need to really make sure that they're high functioning? And so maybe I'll give you an example of what we've done in York County. We had some extra COVID funds when we cut service, and we did we reduced service because of staffing levels. And when we went to put it back, we didn't put it back where it came from. What we did is put it on the busiest route, and we moved headways from every 30 minutes to every 15 minutes. Ridership increased 18%. And the satisfaction from the riders really skyrocketed. Now, the only thing we did was increase frequency. The idea with high intensity corridor studies, we'll also look at bus stops, make sure that they're functional. Maybe there's less of them, but the ones that remain are better, right? So, because every bus stop slows down the bus. If you're stopping every block, it takes you longer to get where you're going. So how do we increase frequency? Maybe we work with local municipal partners to get signal priority, not preemption, but if it sees the bus coming, it holds the light green, or it's red, hey, the bus is here, let's shorten the cycle a little to keep it moving. So those kind of things really on those corridors. So we've identified a corridor in each of our counties, and we're beginning to kind of map out what does that really mean, what's needed, because it'll take money, right? So what kind of infrastructure is needed to make that happen? So I'm going to come back to this in a moment, but that's sort of the foundation of what is to come in the next 3 years. And when I get to the new building project, I'll talk more about what I think is happening at a larger scale. So that's something that we've been working on. Lots of public participation. We've had lots of meetings. A lot of municipal partners have been involved, stakeholders. So I'm pleased anytime that we can get the community involved. We hope that the final plan comes out here at the end of January. That's when we hope to have that completed. So I'm going to flip to the page that looks like this. That shows a little bus on it. Act 44 of 2007, which is how we get our funding, and it's also the requirement for which the county has to match the dollar. So that's that same law. In that law, there's a performance review requirement. So PennDOT has to come out every 5 years to evaluate us. This is our first performance review as SRTA. So they did look at the two previous authorities as a baseline, but come together. I copied and pasted the text, and I'm very proud of this, and we all should be proud of this, and I'm going to read it as it's written. SRTA took strategic action to address legacy costs associated with the former CAT operation, reducing operating costs by nearly 10% per revenue vehicle hour. So in 2019, we were at $120 an hour. At 2024, we are $109. I don't know how many programs in the county in those last 5 years reduced their operating costs by 10%. Now, I'd like to say we can continue doing that. I think we're starting to run out of the efficiencies, right? And PennDOT's like, how did you do this? Like, I don't have a specific plan. It's how rapid transit operates. We're very efficient. We do things right. I don't have this chart like, let's change that. It's just how we do business. And so they want to study us more to see how what we do can be applied to other transit systems across the state. But I'm really, really pleased with that. And for Gary, I know you were here during Act 44 and the report card and how poor that was. We are in full compliance in all 4 categories. And let me just tell you what the chart means. So in compliance with Act 44 means that you're within, in your peer group, you are within one standard deviation of the number, right? Historically, CAT was not compliant in these areas. So we're now compliant. The plus and minus means we're better than or worse than in that peer group. So we're compliant, but where are we in the compliance? So operating cost and passenger cost, operating cost per passenger and per hour, we are really at the good end of that. So we operate very efficiently. What we don't have is enough passengers per hour. And because you don't have enough passengers per hour, you don't have enough revenue per hour. So part of the service redesign, we hope to increase ridership. And when you increase ridership, we will move, they'll all be pluses, I hope, when we come back in 5 years. That's the goal, right? So that's what we're working on. But very pleased with the overall performance review. PennDOT did give us 4 things to work on. And like, I think they had to work really hard to find 4 things for us to improve on. Like they're not very difficult. 2 of them are already closed of the 4. And the report came out in September. So like we're doing really good. The next page is the Lemoyne Transfer Center. So maybe this is where I'll talk about the service redesign. So we're constructing a new transit center on Cameron Street with an overall large project. That, along with the Lemoyne Transfer Center, will give us the foundation to completely redesign the service. Transit is pretty simple, really. It's not rocket science. The bus goes out, it comes back in, goes out. Well, yes, but not here. The bus goes out, and then it goes out of service and drives over here. And then it drives over here, and then goes out of service and goes back here. When you're out of service driving, you're paying the drivers, but nobody's riding. Why? So we've already reduced the deadhead time, I don't know, like 70%. What we've gotten to now, until I have new transfer centers, I can't weed that out. We have squeezed all we can out of what we have, I think, until we have this redesign. For instance, I think I counted, don't hold me to the number, I should have looked up before I came. I think it's 164 times a day that fixture crosses the river. Because every route crosses the river. Why? Right? Again, you're wasting resources that could be deployed someplace else to pick people up and drop them off. So creating these 2 transfer center, again, we have a long ways to go, 3 years. We're currently starting to lay out the design work, what the new system will look like. But you can have 1 bus going back and across from this transfer center to the new transfer center on both sides of the river every 15 minutes, and you won't come anywhere close to 164 times a day. We're going to really redesign how that works. So the transfer center currently is deplorable. In the Lemoyne Transfer Center, it's in really bad condition, complete neglect, not really used like it should be. So we're going to go from 2 bus berths to 5, bi-directional, all new lighting. There'll be restrooms for the drivers, which is a big deal. Bus drivers who are out, they have to try to find a place to stop with the bus with people on board to use a restroom. Not safe, not good, leaving the bus unattended while they're running into Walmart. This will give them restrooms on both transfer centers. So that's a good thing. So very, very excited about that. We're looking, it's at 60% design now. We hope to be out to bid by summer of 27. It has to be done by summer of 28. That's probably when the new service will be designed. So a lot of stuff could be happening in 2028. Building the transfer center, new service. So lots of stuff coming on board.
So the Lemoyne Transfer Center is not in use at all.
It is, but
For transfer or for like just
Well,
parking?
no, there are some transfers going on there. It was never really, I wasn't here at the time, but by doing an archaeological dig through paperwork, I discovered it was really a quarter 1 stop.
Yes.
Then it never was utilized for bus service. So it was purchased and then neglected. We're going to reinvigorate it and put it to work as it should have been forever. So, yeah, good times. Yeah. So the next page is the Rittner Road facility. And just a little history on that. We got a procurement, and then we determined the process that we were using to build and buy the building was not allowed by DGS because we're buying it off the state contract. So then we had to go back and redesign the building and put it back out to bid.
Could you just remind us what TGS means?
Department of General Services.
Thank you.
Yeah, so like the Co-Stars program,
Yes.
right? So, we went to buy a pole barn. And you can't do new construction, you can do pole barn rehabilitation off the contract. I would argue the contract is vague and not detailed enough. And we were far too long before some attorney says you can't do this, but that's a whole nother story. So it really delayed us by a year. The bids are going to be opened on December 1st, and we hope to have a ribbon cutting by summer of 2027. So moving along. So we'll keep you informed as things are going and give you updates. A couple more topics at the bottom, fair collection and realignment. We went from one county for me, right? I started in York County and now we're 11 counties. And so we inherited all these fixed route programs. So Shippensburg has a fair, Gettysburg has a fair, Harrisburg, Cumberland, Dauphin has a fair, York has a fair, Hanover has a fair. I have 5 fair systems in the system. It's not working. So in March, we will create 2 fairs. We'll have an urban and a rural and 1 fair system. So if you live in Carlisle and you find yourself to be in Gettysburg with your transit card, you'll be able to ride in Gettysburg or vice versa. So it's 1 fair system for all of Rapid Transit. And honestly, to do that, you have to level everything. So some people are going to pay less for their trip. Some other people are going to pay more, right? So Gettysburg right now is $1 per boarding. They're going to go to $1.50, right? Urban's going to be $2. Still pretty affordable trip, if you ask me. But if you're changing it by 50 cents, I'll have people writing me nasty grams, right? So it's going to be coming, but we have to make the system be a system. We can't have all these moving parts. It's making us crazy.
So in other words, free bus fare is not in the future anymore.
No.
Just checking.
Yeah, well, there are places who've tried that.
Yeah.
Right, and I could argue there's merit for it for a certain population, but the fare helps control what happens on the vehicle. Right, because if it's free, you never have to get off.
Right.
If you pay at the end of the line, you have to get off. It's important sometimes to have an end of the line. Right. Kind of know what I mean, right? Because it can't be.
I have a question about that later.
It can't be a residency. You can't live on a bus.
Right. Yeah, apparently you can live in the transfer center.
Well, which transfer center?
On some of the Market Square transfer center.
So you can live in front of the planters on the street side, but the back side where the buses are, you will not live there from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Right.
So if you're there 1 bus cycle, you will be moved along. But moving them along means they just go to the front side of the planters, which is not our jurisdiction.
Pretty soon they'll move over to where the old Cornet restaurant was, where they're putting in the public plaza. That'll be the new.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I've had to remove throughout the system maybe 4 shelters where I just couldn't stop it. Yeah, it's a problem. And sometimes that falls on transit. I don't have a police force. I have no jurisdiction. But we're dealing with the issues to the best we can. But it is a challenge.
Is there any prospect for that? Because you've got, as you said, you need riders. Riders going to be marketing. There's a real image problem. Yeah, with anybody who's going to downtown, especially if downtown is the hub.
Right.
For all transfers. So.
Right. I think that's true for all of our urban centers.
Yes.
Right. If we don't have strong urban centers that are attractive for folks to come, spend money, spend time, ride transit, right? It's a problem. So yeah, I think it's still, if you really think about it, it was always kind of a problem, but the pandemic really brought it on full force, right? And so I think it's still relatively new. I mean, it's 5 years we've been working through this for a total societal change and to address it. And so, people are doing it. We're watching it, right? I happened to be able to go to Boston for our national conference. And so I spent one day on the Freedom Trail, which is great. If you've never done that, you should. What I noticed when I was all done, I'm like, I didn't run into very many unhoused. Like, why are they not here? And so I don't know what they're doing, right? It's public space. Are they giving them space? So I have some calls into folks there to see, what are you doing in Boston? That's because you know they're there, right? You have, what are we doing to help them? Because transit is about helping people,
Right.
all people, right? So it's a balance between how do we help them without being, a challenge for others who want to use the service. Like, how do we balance all that? And it's not easy.
So related to that, the Market Square Transfer Center, of course, juts out. That's why they put the S curve in and everything. There was some talk 2 years ago about removing the transfer center altogether and moving it down to the train station, bus station.
2028.
So that is still in the cards.
Yeah, when we build a new building, the
Yes.
transfer center will move
That
to
will.
there. And the only thing I'm asking for is on the Market side, when you come around the corner from Second onto Market.
Yeah.
Those first couple parking spots, I need a bus stop. So make that no parking and
Yeah.
give me a bus stop there. And then we have the train station. That's the only transit that's going to be on the square.
So what happens to the configuration there? That's the build.
That's a great question. We don't own the land. The transit system does not, the city does, and I will
Sure. I didn't say.
And
you
the-
know what I said.
lease and say, good luck. Right, they're gonna have, and I'm having those conversations, so it's not just good luck, that sounds kind of harsh. I am having the conversation with the business community and they're working on a plan of what's next. You do not want that space to be unused,
Correct.
because it will be used. And we spend a lot of, even on the front side of those planters, we clean up the trash. And it's a lot of trash every day to keep that corner presentable. So they're gonna want to have somebody on that. So I actually had a conversation with Brian Unger this morning about, like, what are we doing? What's the plan? How do we help you with that? I still need a bus stop. Like, we're not vacating. That's a big, important stop. We take a lot of folks to work at the Hilton and, right, so it's important that we have a stop there. So, good stuff. The regional facility, we talked a little bit about it already. If you have an opportunity to get down on Cameron Street, do that. Our building stands alone. Everything around it is down. It's all demolished. We have, let me pull out my little cheat sheet and I'll be glad to leave this behind. So we have about $16 million of our own formula funds that we have been able to set aside of federal funds, thanks to the use of CARES Act funds. So we use the CARES Act funds, set aside our formula funds, and then to use for the project. So that we have that much. We were awarded a raise grant under the Biden administration, and then it was silent. Just last week, we were notified that we indeed have the 25 million. And so we have submitted our application for that. In the wings, there's just a mere, $70 million left of federal funds that we've applied for. So we'll see how that goes. One grant was 29 million, another one was 39. So, so it's moving forward. PennDOT, I'm a little anxious. We're moving forward without having all the funding pieces in place. But PennDOT's insisting that we will continue to move forward because this building will not be cheaper tomorrow. And this building that we're in now, I cannot underscore the terrible condition it is. So I just got notification that the whole roof needs to be replaced. We're not replacing the roof on that building. That's $10 million. Like, we just have to make it work for 3 more years. The boiler system's gone. It's constant something every day. It's a problem. So
We can relate to your problem.
I'm sure you have facilities too, right?
How much money we put in versus
Right.
what's next.
Right, yeah. Although this one's 127 years old, it's gonna be kind of hard to beat that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I think it's good. It is the year where we do need the local match. So I've been working with your team on the local match request for the year. So we talked about the 300,000 that's needed for that. That's above and beyond the regular allocation. It could be all at once, it could be 3 years, right? We need it by the time I complete the project and we cut the ribbon. Because it has to be in place by that point. So however we need to work that, I'm open to that. We are still short on some local match if the federal funds doesn't come through, and I'm working with PennDOT on that. There may be another conversation we have. I don't think I'm asking anything more from you, but there's a plan in place. We're working on that. So applying for some of the statewide, and although I may call on you for this, we are not eligible for any of the statewide gaming funds. I'm not sure what they're called, but yes, municipal authorities are allowed, but they are the people who build arenas and convention centers. Our Municipal Authorities Act of 1945 is not an applicant. The project is eligible. You are eligible. So maybe I'll call on you to be an applicant on our behalf for additional funds. So we're working through a back end. I have one meeting set up with Chief of Staff.
Eric?
Thank you. So we're having first conversation there. So I'll as things keep moving, we'll come back around and circle back to that. Another potential change that I'm asking for, the Rittner Road facility had a local match requirement of $35,000. I've worked with PennDOT to get that to be funded with 100% state funds because it's a shared right facility. What I'm asking for in this is instead of that $35,000 going to this, I need it for the LeMoyne Transfer Center because that has federal funds in it and it needs local match. So it's just shifting it from one project to the other because you know how the local match world works. But no local match, your dollars are the very most important dollar I get. You match state matches federal. No local, no. Right, so I can't stress how the importance of that. So that's kind of how we're looking to move that. So I said to PennDOT, I said, I need this LeMoyne Transfer Center. I've already gotten a commitment of funding for this. Would you be okay if we switch the funding around? And they said, yeah, that's fine.
So even though that transfer center will be a regional asset, the match will be yours.
The reason why I'm not coming back to you that's the description I'm going to use across the river of why I'm not asking for more money from you right now for that building.
Okay.
Right. Because I've already thought about that.
I
Right.
figured you might.
I try to make sure I keep all everything balanced. Right. You're contributing to something that's regional
right
already. I need more money over here. Help me with this. Right. So I'll kind of keep you informed as things move forward. But that's the one thing I try really hard is the money given to me by whatever the municipality is stays in that municipality unless you know otherwise. Right. Those assets are very, very important and that everything is equal to the best of my ability. So I work really hard at doing that. In 11 counties, that's a good time. It's fun. So that's kind of where we are. I don't know if you have any questions. I think that's the last slide. Is there one more? No, that's it. So, but things are good. You know, I was saying to Kurt before you came in, I sometimes, I'm so busy looking forward at what's next. I never really stop to look to see where we've come. And, you know, we walked in the door in 2018 with a $2 million unfunded deficit, a collective bargaining agreement that was out of control, a workforce that never came to work. And that's not who we are today. Our attendance rate's good, our relationship with it's management labor, right? We'll never be, because we should never be really, but we just finished up negotiating a contract. They stood up, come over, shook my hand immediately. That didn't happen 3 years ago. We're building because we are as good as our people. And the front line exposure is the driver. Right? There's nothing more important in our system. I just had this conversation with my leadership team today. My purpose is to make sure somebody can get on and off the bus. Who does that? The driver. Then the mechanic. I drew this picture on the whiteboard. This is how we function as a team. The rider is the most important and the driver is the next most important because they're the ones who interact every day. And so building that relationship is good. You know, when I started, we had a meeting with the drivers and I would ask them about what do you do here? No, what do you do here? I drive a bus. No, you don't. You transport people to life. You take them to work. They didn't see their importance of it was just a paycheck, right? getting them more mission. We're making progress. I wouldn't say we've arrived there yet, but I can tell you in other areas, you ask them, what do we do here? I have access to people, like they tell you the mission, right? We got to have the whole for that. Just things are good. Like we haven't arrived, but it's much different. Although I did say, all I need is 6 months. I needed 6 years. I didn't realize it was going to be as hard as it was. It's been a ride, but things are good, and I appreciate your continued support. Like without it, it doesn't happen.
So one question, we heard some rumblings before about some of the local partners perhaps not meeting the deadline on local match. Can you brief us on, is that resolved? Is that close to resolve?
At this moment, it's resolved.
This moment it's resolved?
Yeah, you never know until the next payment's due. But we submitted all of our invoices,
Yeah.
and the partner in question, a week later, the check came.
Interesting. Okay.
So
Very good.
I'm hoping we've turned the page and we're moving forward. Yeah, I think so too.
I have a feeling we have turned the page.
But I hope. All right. Now, we have more important things to do.
This public transportation, this bus service is so important to the people of Cumberland County. It's so important to the constituency here. And so it's good to see these things moving forward, and that there's a path, there's a plan, it's a viable plan. Thank you, Rich.
It's a team effort, right? But
Yes.
it's everybody
Yeah, it is a
doing
team
it. It is a team effort.
Absolutely.
Thank you for those comments.
I did just think of something you referenced earlier about a relook at where there are stops and such. So, I mean, we have a number of places that used to be regular stops that aren't necessarily functioning in the manner they were.
Right.
We have a number of new players on the scene. I would say this office, I know at least I've gotten calls over the years, people saying, hey, can you help us get a bus stop or something like that, or get one near us or whatever. There was one like a month ago. So we still get stuff like that. So, when you're reviewing the stops, what's your criteria for determining that this stop is no longer needed, but this may be? Because you don't want to just add,
You want to keep a balance too, right? You move it around. Is this the right street to be on any longer? Should we be over here? All those kind of things. So we have the 4 performance factors that drive what we do. We have a whole service standard document that says, when is there a shelter needed? When does it get benches? So there's all of that criteria. So it's already defined, and you use it as a guide too. Sometimes you have to use common sense in your gut too, like right now, but you can see what's coming next. You know what permits are being issued for whatever the development is. You want to think beyond the moment too. I think one of the biggest challenges we're going to face is this law called PROAG, or maybe it's a regulation. I can't tell you, I can't remember what it stands for. I'm not gonna put you on the spot either because it's hard. Anyways, it's we used to be able to just go put up a bus stop, put a sign in the ground. No. If there isn't ADA accessible sidewalk to and from, and it's not just like it's curb to curb, right? So it's a whole new ball game. So as we start to redesign the service, it's going to be interesting. And I've been working with Kurt on this. We are beginning to have conversations with the municipalities along the Carlisle Pike, which there is a sidewalk to be found, which should be our single largest ridership route in our entire system. And it's not close. There's no place. You got to be able to refer. Every trip begins on foot. So how do we address that? And so we're going to begin looking at so really the high intensity corridor for us is that Carlisle Pike. What do we do about getting bus stops that are meaningful along that path?
So Hampton Township had talked a while back, and I think they maybe rekindled this, about creating a more pedestrian friendly type of, almost a downtown feel. If you can imagine that. So I would assume you're in contact with them about that concept.
And they're starting to do it. Anytime something's redeveloped, they're requiring the developer to put sidewalks in. That's a great start.
Okay.
Maybe we look at some safe routes to school money, or there's other multimodal funds. So like, how do we help the municipality put the sidewalks where they need to be? And even if we start with segments, like the requirement is to curb to curb, end to end, block to block, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So maybe you'll find sidewalk, 2 blocks, no sidewalk, next block sidewalk. we have to start somewhere.
Sure.
Right, and so I think that's the kind of conversation we have to have.
That's kind of how they did years ago with curb cuts. You know, they brought them in gradually just as new work was done.
Exactly, 'cause you're not putting sidewalks down the Carlisle Pike in one shot. Right? Could you imagine, like,
No, I mean, it needs to be done, but not, you cannot do that.
there's not enough resources.
One gigantic project.
Yeah, right, not gonna happen. So that's our biggest, I think, hurdle for fixed route for the high intensity corridor that we need to develop here.
So back to that question about the revisiting of the stops. So there's a number of buildings that may or may not have had bus service, I don't know, but they have reconfigured themselves to be virtually unoccupied in a lot of cases, very few riders. So I would imagine you're tracking which of your stops have significant riders.
All of our bus stops are GPSed.
Okay.
So, and the new fare system will even take us to the next level, to know where people get on and get off. So, so we'll use all that data.
Roughly speaking, how many boardings or deboardings would you consider to be sufficient to look at a stop?
Yeah, it's in our plan. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I can
There's
give.
probably other conditions that have to be met.
Sometimes it's like Sadler, right? Is that the federally qualified?
Yes.
They don't have a bus stop.
Yeah.
Even if there's one trip a day there, that needs a bus stop.
Mhm.
We're running into the ProAg issue. I just can't give them a bus stop. Like, we need a bus stop. We're working on it. Like, it's gonna be a while because I can't just put a sign there any longer. So, those kind of places, you'll have a bus stop, even if there's just one passenger a day, right? But the big retailers, the Walmarts, the Costco, I'm sure is becoming a big stop for us. Haven't checked the ridership since that's open. I'm sure there's a lot of employees going there. So those are always anchor. Healthcare and those kind of places are the anchor. And then you connect the dots, and then you have stops along the way. Even if there's no boardings ever, you need time points along the way to slow the bus down, but not too slow, right? It's the right mix.
And the commercial entities, they do or do not pay for having a stop added.
They don't. We sometimes, depending on what they're looking for, if they want a route extension, we'll do what we call a route guarantee, where they have to contribute resources if they want longer bus service or more frequent bus service. Or so we have a contract with, I don't know, there's probably 5 employers right now. It goes up and down. Yeah. So, but the ones who work with us and develop shifts around the bus schedule are the most successful attracting new employees. That's a hard thing to get through, right? Our shift is at 7. The bus comes at 7:20. I can't change the bus for you. But if you change your schedule to be 7:30 to 4, you've just opened yourself up to a whole bunch of people. Sometimes they get that, most times they don't. But those who do, and they create a bus schedule time, your employee work schedule for the bus, suddenly they get applicants who want to work there because they can ride the bus. Otherwise, they have to come an hour earlier and wait an hour later.
Yeah, but no one wants to do that.
Who wants to do
But
that?
I know, I have been in that situation, and sometimes it was just better to walk.
Right?
Yep.
Right, or look someplace else. Yeah, so
Yes.
we're working with them in commuter services. Right, we work with them heavily. They're a great partner. And they help us communicate that.
Good.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Some places I would imagine that would be a recruitment tool to have a route that serves them.
So we do have one employer who pays for almost the entire route. It's in York on 83, the big box. It's ES3. It's a food distributor. And that's where it's the first time that even me in transit thought about this schedule that meets the bus. And so the plant manager invites me in, and I'm sitting in a room with all the staff, lead staff, and they're like, every one of you will create a work schedule that meets the bus schedule in every department. Then you hear this grumbling. He's like, wasn't optional. You will do it, and it will be there in 2 months. And they created this, and the bus shows up, and these people get off and they go right to work, and they're happy employees. And they put our bus passes in their vending machine. So they buy them at a discount, sell them at a discount to the employee in a vending machine. That's pretty cool. So trying to make sure, it's a lot of work communicating to employers to make sure they understand the connection, because they don't always think that through.
So in that vein, last question, you mentioned about increasing ridership, obviously you need a pretty well coordinated outreach marketing effort. So what's the idea for that? What's the plan for that or schedule for that?
Well, even just like with our fare
Yeah.
deployment, what we're doing, we have street teams. Like they're ready to do it in January to go live. I'm like, we're not doing January because I'm not putting all the people on the street in January. In March, we're going to deploy. We're going to have every employee is going to be on the street teams. We're going to have, the little fluorescent jackets that say whatever the theme is. There's a whole marketing campaign around that. And because we spend about 40 cents on every dollar we collecting the dollar. Think that through for a minute, right? So I collect $1, only 60 cents of it actually goes to the operation. I spend 40 cents collecting it. We got to get away from that. In this new fare system, if I can get everyone to move to the account base where they're paying when you just tapping their phone or their card, and I don't have to collect cash and have it shipped off to like Brink showing up, and that's very expensive. I got to get away from that. So we have a whole marketing campaign. I'll let you know how successful we are in April. But that's going to be the first time we've really taken such a heavy grassroots, all hands on deck promotion. And so I think if that works, we'll use that model, we'll redesign the service. So we'll see.
Thank you.
Pretty excited about it.
Commissioner Nieder, I know you're online. Do you have any questions, anything to add?
No, I don't have anything, Rich. It was just fantastic. Thank you. I was listening the whole time.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it.
All right, very
Yeah,
good. All right,
exciting.
we'll schedule a time to come back again.
Great.
All right, very good. Thanks.
Did we have any other business to come before the board today? No, hearing none and seeing none, we need a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.